Hello everyone, my name is Haley Fracek and my presentation this week is over the philosophy of death and dying. For concrete experiences, I have 3 different experiences with death and dying that have shaped the way that I view the end of life. The first person that I was old enough to remember losing was my gramps. I was 9 years old whenever he died. The next person that I lost was my mother-in-law. She was diagnosed with lung cancer just a few months after I initially met my husband, and Linda died in 2018, just 2 months after my husband and I got married. The most recent person that I lost was my Nana, my mom's mom. She was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer December 19th, 2019, and died January 13th, 2020. These 3 experiences changed and affected me in completely different ways. My Gramps was the first exposure to death and its finality. This was the first viewing and first funeral that I attended, and this was the first time that I had to try and navigate loss and moving through those emotions. Linda's death was a little bit more by the book, I guess. She'd been sick for 4 years, so she was involved in every part of final arrangements and planning her funeral. There were a few weeks between the last time that I saw her and when she passed away. Because of that, and the fact that she was cremated, I really struggled with accepting and processing her death and felt like I didn't get closure. My Nana's death was traumatic and changed the way that I view death. It happened really fast. From her getting sick to her death, it was less than 3 months. Her cancer diagnosis was only 2 weeks before she died. She was the first person that I had actually seen die. And even as an adult, my brain didn't know how to process that. For observations and reflections, I was raised Catholic, so I was raised with the knowledge of life after death, heaven, angels, and hell. In the church, you're taught that heaven is a place that you should want to see and that the people you leave behind shouldn't be sad for you. Grief is talked about in a way that makes you think that it's linear and one simple emotion. Someone dies, you spend time mourning their loss, you wake up one day just happy to have the memories. The lessons that I learned from each death is that grief is messy. It's a tangled ball of emotions that don't ever come out the way that you expect. Each death is different, and the grief that follows will be different too. My gramps died hooked up to wires, surrounded by nurses. There were a lot of noises and people talking over each other. Linda took the time to plan her funeral with my father-in-law. That time that they got together was precious, and I think that that really helped him to begin grieving before she was really gone. My Nana's death was really traumatic. My emotions were already out of whack from being one of her primary caregivers at that time, but there's nothing that can prepare you to see the strongest woman that you know just die. My Gramps wasn't religious, but Linda was, and my Nana had just gotten back into church. Seeing women that seemingly did everything they were supposed to die a horrible and painful death really changed how I saw religion and God. It didn't seem fair. Changed how I saw my own mortality too. I don't focus so much on death and dying as I do trying to create a life worth living and not waiting for retirement to do anything. Concepts and generalizations. Death is a part of life. No matter what scientific advancements we see, death is inevitable. There are a lot of people that fear dying, whether that's the actual act of dying, life after death. It's a big fear for a lot of people. The grieving process is something that's entirely separate from death and dying. There are 5 different stages of grief, as you can see from my little image here. Shock and denial at the loss itself is the first stage. Then comes anger, bargaining, where I would give anything to get them back, depression and sadness, and then finally acceptance of their passing and finding a way forward. These stages aren't linear, but they are helpful in naming the emotions that you're feeling. Applications to new solutions. These deaths gave me empathy and patience. You never know what people are suffering with behind closed doors. Whether they're sick themselves, caregivers, or grieving, everyone needs grace and patience while they work to understand what's going on in their lives. There isn't a large vocabulary to work with regarding emotions surrounding death, dying, and grief. In searching for the right words to express my own grief, I've become better in tune with my emotions in general. Utilizing that emotional knowledge that I gained, as well as the 5 stages of grief, I can help others put words to their emotions they might not have known before. Finally, everyone's experience is valid. Everyone's story deserves to be heard in a way that they want to tell it. There's no one right way to die, to lose a loved one, or to grieve their loss. Every experience is unique to the individual and the individual's relationship to the person that they lost. Just let them talk. People don't always need a solution. Sometimes they just need to sit and have somebody listen to them. On this, I'm not entirely certain of the documentation that I need to do based on the subject matter, but I will work on that. Thank you.